Hey, everybody. Today on the show, I have Steve Foran talking about gratitude. And we try to get in as fast as possible to practical ways that can help how you can actually apply gratitude in your life. And Steve's been doing this for 18 years and he gives some real life examples from his life. He talks about how you can find the good in situations. It's really beautiful. And at the end of the talk, he gets into attachment. So listen to the talk today. You're going to get practical advice on gratitude. Really, how can you start doing living with more gratitude? The effort it's going to require, the time you can put in, the benefits, what Steve's done, the real life experience he's had, with his own life and with the people, his clients that he's worked with. And at the end, we got to a really cool place talking about attachment, which I've never heard him talk about before, and how when you become more grateful, you become less attached, which is so helpful. So I hope you enjoyed the talk today. As always, leave any feedback, any questions, comments, subscribe to the channel, and just enjoy the talk. All right, have a great one. Steve, thanks a lot so much for taking the time. Some people are just going to click on this video and they're just going to say they don't know who you are, and they're just, what can you tell them, for the people that are only watching for 30 seconds or a minute, that are just clicking in to click out, to help them with gratitude on a daily basis? What can they actually do practically to help themselves with gratitude?
Yeah, great. What most people think they should do on a daily basis around gratitude is nothing. That's what most people think. And guess what? They're wrong. I think the number one thing that you can do on a daily basis to build gratitude into your life, into your mindset, so that you live a thriving, flourishing life is expose yourself to what other people are grateful for. Like read or listen, like not just skim over, but read or listen to what other people are grateful for. That's the biggest thing that you can do, Mark.
Okay, excellent. And then so I'm going to build off of that, Steve. You've been so gracious with me over the years, with your time, and for people that are listening, Steve actually is one of those people that you walk into a Starbucks and you're like, how in God's name is that guy so positive? And I've seen it. Other people, you walk in and people are like, what's going on? So the first one, okay, so you said that become aware of gratitude, and I that's true. That's very true. But what about the person that says, I have so many negative feelings and you still want me to be grateful? That's the biggest one I got when I talk to people about it. It's like, really? Really? Like my car just broke down. I'm going through a separation. My kid doesn't talk to me. You still want me to be grateful?
Yeah. When I do a session, I'm going to at some point say, crap still happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll ask the audience, anyone here not have any crap in their life? Raise your hand. Most of the time, no one raises their hand. But when someone raises their hand, do you know what we say to them?
And now I'd love to know.
It's coming, baby. Like it's coming.
Right, right,
Like
right,
crap is going to happen in our lives.
right.
Gratitude is not about pretending that there's not crap. The car doesn't work. I took a mirror off a vehicle when I was parallel parking on the weekend. It doesn't like make that stuff just magically disappear. But when our brains are just so hyper focused to just see the negative, gratitude is the tool that you have to be able to get you to see the good in amongst all that. Because if you don't, all you're going to see is all the negative. And how it comes out is, how do you expect me to be grateful when all this stuff is coming in my life, all this negative stuff's happening in my life? And I don't want to say, I'm not here saying you should be grateful, right? Only we can answer that question. So in spite of all the crap that's going on in one's life, ask ourselves, where's the good here? What can I be grateful for? Because when you do that, it enables you to better deal with the crap.
Okay, so two things that came up when you said that. One is how the negative mindset is so apparent, and there's so many examples I can give from today of like people being negative, or how we have the leaning towards being negative. So
Yeah.
how can someone who's they're like, okay, I'm a little negative. All right. How can they start to be more grateful? Like, what are some things they can do to help? One, and then like and the second thing is, what's a real example from your life when you had something that happened when you found the good in it? I know you've told me some examples, but I'd like you to share one, if you don't mind, about where you found the good in a situation where it was like most of the population would be like, "Oh my god, this is the worst." So
Yeah.
those are the two questions that I
Yeah.
have.
So each of us has our own natural disposition to being grateful, right? You know how some, even the simple optimists or pessimists, we tend to have a baseline how we're wired. So if you tend to be more predisposed to being grateful, it's going to be easier for you to do this. If you're less predisposed, it's going to be more difficult, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. And so I'm just start by making a list of what you're grateful for, and just do that on a daily basis. And just maybe two, three things, write it, and then do it again. And don't just think about it. Record it somewhere where you're able to go back and look at it.
And why is that?
Well, it's like if well, you go to the gym, don't you, Mark?
I do.
Right. And so say you had some free weights and just a couple dumbbells, and you didn't put any weight on those dumbbells and you were curling. After about a month, you might be thinking, I've been I've been doing bicep curls for a month, and these puppies aren't changing at all. Well, no, because there's no weight on them. You
Right.
you put 2.5 pounds on those suckers, and then guess what's going to happen? You probably curl 40 or 50 pounds anyhow. Anyhow, it's harder, but you get a bit more of a workout. So,
Ah, okay.
right? With gratitude, when you take the extra step and record it by writing or typing, you're involving more than just one sense, like you're involving some other physical senses, and it actually has a greater impact on how it rewires your brain. Because I said we have this disposition to being grateful. The only way that's going to change is when your brain actually physically changes and the wiring in your brain changes. And how do we change the wiring in our brain? Like somebody who's had a stroke or has had a vehicle accident, they've got to rewire their brain to learn to walk again. And it's a process. And they don't just think about walking again, they got to go and do it over and over. And the more you do it, you rewire your brain to get you to now you know how to walk again. Same thing with gratitude. So use this tool, record what you're grateful for. I'd love to say in a week, you're going to notice a huge difference. I don't know. Everyone is going to be different, right?
Mhm.
And if you're really serious, you'll go back to the very first tip that I said, which is about read or listen to what other people are grateful for. Because what you're going to find is after a week, a month, a year, 13 years, 15 years, that you can think, this is getting boring. So reading other people's is going to give you really fresh perspectives.
I think about the effort portion of it, I think would be a little bit. I think that, the belief is that, like, I make a list, it takes me 25 seconds, then I read Steve's lists at Gratitude at Work, or I read somebody else's, and then I'll be grateful all the time. I made the effort, right? I think that's a misconception. So, just a little bit more on the effort component of it, I think, is for people to understand that you're rewiring your brain, which is true, which is amazing for science.
Yeah.
Uh, However, it's not like when I went to France, I didn't speak French after a week. It took me like 5 months, and then I could speak French,
Yeah.
right? So
It takes time, and you want this to be genuine. You want to feel emotion. You want to so reading is good. One-on-one contact with others and with other people is really a big game changer with it. It gets you to be able to share with others what you're grateful for. You get to listen to what others are grateful for, and that extra effort is really going to help you. That's the good effort. What we don't want to do, the one thing that we want to avoid is trying to force ourselves to be grateful, because that's going to backfire.
mhm.
And it's the only negative that we know of. The negative side effect of gratitude is when we try to force it.
So I
So,
think that's the big message that I'd like to get out of this today. I think that's what after all the years of talking to you, I think that that's what I'd like to get out to people is that forcing.
right?
So you've never really talked about that much with me, and so we're certainly not on a recorded call. So could you talk about that a little bit more? Because
Yeah.
I think that's where people are stuck. I think that they're like they're it's like, like, hey, come on, Steve, come on, man, I did it. I did your list. I read your thing, and I got no more gratitude. Still pissed off. I still feel feelings. Like that thing is, I think what you know people are really. I think that's what I hear more from people when we're having honest conversations. They're like, like, how much effort is it?
Yeah. Um, and you know what I say to you or anyone who says that? It's okay, right? It's like if you're doing your gratitude list, if you can't see your life as a gift, that's okay. If you sit down for a minute and you're got your pen in your hand and you can't write anything in your gratitude list, that's okay. Right? We don't want to force it. But if we can involve other people and it's not just ourself, here's the key, right? Because if it's just me and if I think, how am I going to fix this? Like, here's the other thing. When people think, when they have this big problem, whether it's all the things that are going on in the world and how do I have a positive mindset, and they think, I'm just going to suck it up, put my nose to the grindstone and work hard. Guess what? They're wrong. That's not the way to do it. We need to connect with other people. And connecting with other people around gratitude is one of the ways, definitely one of the ways that you're going to be able to do that. So, um, number one, it's okay. Two, don't be hard on yourself, because what happens is if I think, man, I can't come up with a list of what I'm grateful for, Steve says I should be able to do this. I know when I'm like that, I'm thinking, what kind of loser am I?
Mhm,
And that's a downward spiral. So we don't want
mhm.
to go there. So guess what? Just give ourselves a break. And I say, what part of your life can you imagine that you can just see as a gift? And you go, my pet, like my dog. I don't know, like my the kid down the street or whatever it is. Find the part of your life that is going good and start there. And that, like, let's start there and grow from there, because it really doesn't matter where your gratitudes are from. Like if you think, let's do another sports analogy. Um, Usain Bolt. Do you know who
Mhm.
he is?
My favorite my favorite athletic feat of all time is their 4 by 100 relay win.
Well, little known secret, but between Usain and myself, together we have a combined 7 gold medals in the Olympics.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
You
together.
do.
Actually, I might be off by one on the number. I'm not sure. Um, but one of his core exercise routines were are leg lunges, right? I don't know what he would put on a bar. He'd probably put 200 pounds on the bar when he's doing his leg lunges. How many thousand leg lunges has that man done in his life?
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
Who knows, right?
Right.
When he's on the track, is he doing leg lunges? No one sees him doing leg lunges.
Right.
He's in the arena. And he's in the arena because he's done his leg lunges. His leg lunges is what prepare him to be on the starting blocks and to be the fastest human being that's ever lived, right? And so a gratitude practice is something very similar. It's something you do, it's your practice so that when you're in the arena, you are prepared. It is, you're exercising the muscles in your brain to rewire your brain to get there. But we do that one step at a time.
Excellent. That's beautiful, Steve. Yeah. So, what about an example from your life when you had a situation that was a little tough and you were able to be grateful?
Uh, it was one of the challenges, like 3 days after our son Nick, 3 days after his 28th birthday, he was admitted to the hospital for a hip replacement. So 28, right hip, full hip replacement. No injury. It was just kind of out of the blue. It had been building because he had pain as far back as high school that we can remember, but never really attributed to anything. Anyhow, he's fine. And it's kind of funny because the nurses, I said, how odd is this? And he said, oh, we see a spring chicken like him about every month or so. So anyhow, but leading up to that, Mark, like up to Nick's surgery,
Hmm.
my head started going places. I started thinking I couldn't talk to Linda, his mom, right? I couldn't talk to Linda about what I was thinking. It was that scary, right?
Hmm.
I I can say it now
Sure.
because we're 5 years out from it. I was thinking, what if they just botched this operation and he's in more pain? His quality of life goes down. It's harder for him to walk, or maybe he needs a walk. Like I got to the point I was thinking, what if he bleeds out and dies on the table and I never see him again? And my head starts going around that. And I was trying to write my book at the time. And so this is affecting everything in my life, not just how I'm thinking about this, because it is total. This is this negativity. And you watching or listening, you might be thinking, that is completely irrational. I totally agree. It's completely irrational. But guess what? It just sucked me down. Anyhow, I'm writing my book at the time, Mark. So what do? I think, Steve, maybe you should take some of your own advice on this one and ask yourself the question, what are you grateful for around this? Just hang. Don't cut this out. I'm going to be right back. I'm just right over here because you know what I did? I made a list.
Oh,
I,
wow.
I wrote down, I said, Nick, what am I grateful? He's not going to be in any pain. His surgeon, like the surgeon, probably has done this, I don't know how many times, not as many leg lunges as
You're
Bolt, but
saying?
he's done it thousands of times. One of the best surgeons in the country. It isn't going to cost him anything. He's in great physical shape. I make this list, and you know what it's like? You know the power of breathing? It's like taking this big breath of air, and I just kind of, okay, Steve, acknowledge, like I acknowledge what my brain's doing, go into the place of absolute, what's the worst that could happen, like negative, and just bringing it back. And I take this on my computer. So it was in my view, and I still have it. I used it as a talk at a talk the other day at Dad's place. I spoke at the residence there, and his
Yeah.
seniors residence, a place where it can feel like there is always something right going on. Anyhow, that was just a little thing that I did that would just shake me out, make me realize, okay, things are going to be okay, and things were okay.
So
And this
beautiful.
is, I'm not grateful Nick had his hip replaced, right? I am not great. What I did was, where is the good in all this? because I need to know there's some good around because it helps me deal with it much better.
So beautiful. Thanks, Steve. So for people that are still with us, still listening,
Sorry if
because
you're not with us.
yeah, if you're not listening, it's okay. It's fine. Anyway, so for the people that are still listening, um, I'm just making a joke because sometimes I'm learning that people don't listen. I thought everyone listened to the whole interview. It's not true. Anyways, um, how did this all begin? So what's your origin story of Steve going from, you know, from what you're like where you were when you discovered gratitude, and how did that all went down? How did that shake down?
Yeah, well, kind of like early 2000s. I mean, I was looking for something. I didn't know what I was looking for because I engineer by training, working in the field, not not directly as an engineer, but peripherally in an industry. And I liked what I did, but I was looking for something else. So I was looking, number one. And I was looking for a long time. So it was, I probably missed a lot of things. This was the thing that I couldn't miss. I had this realization my life was handed to me on a silver platter.
Mhm.
And, a big piece of it was just, everything in life, but Nick comes home from school one day. Yeah, I got this job at the new coffee shop, Dad. Really? How are you going to fit that in with everything you're doing at school and all the video games you play and everything you're involved in? Dad, it's like 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a week, 1 or 2 shifts a week. I'll be fine. That was in August. In December, I, Nick, how is that job going? Oh, it's great. Things are good. I'm doing well in school still, Dad. Let's see your bank account. Shows me his bank account. He's richer than half the population in the world, all on this. And this is where I'm kind of going, buddy, you didn't do this on your own. And I'm thinking that. I didn't say that to him. But you know what I'm saying? What we say about other people, really, most of it, we're talking to ourselves and we don't even realize it.
Mhm.
I realized it. And I had this. So that's when I realized this entire life is a gift. Crap, everything, all the stuff that we've been talking about earlier, see it as a gift. And that's where this whole idea of gratitude came into my life. And at the time I was in grad school. So I did my research on it. And when I finished, I looked at my wife and said, "Hun, I think this is what I got to start doing." And that was in 2006, just a little over 18 years ago. I didn't even, frankly, know what this was when I said I'm going to start doing this. And yeah, I started and just started talking to people about what I thought. I say I'm a believer in grateful leadership. This belief is rooted just really in my own personal experience, validated by just a immense, fastly growing body of literature
Mhm.
in the world of social science to support it. So, yeah.
And then just speaking about those leaders that are out there, is just talking about how you've seen this gratitude help them in real time, in practicality. How has it helped those people?
A couple of things that people have told me, Steve, it's taken the edge off of me,
Beautiful.
right? Um, in the moment, I see
Can you just
tear
talk
like
about that a bit more? The
what's
edge,
that?
that's pretty beautiful. Like what, like the A-type edge or the need to strive edge, or did they get into it, or just because that's a big one, that edge. People live on that. That's their adrenaline. That's their kick, right? That's their addiction. That edge.
Yeah, and just the world is always about that it continuing to just gratitude as a way of softening us. It
Mhm.
doesn't have a way, softening us, not in a way that um, makes us weak. It actually makes us strong. I see leaders become CEOs, business owners become much more vulnerable because of experiencing gratitude, like crying in front of your team. Like cry, like when you know that feeling you get when you see someone, if you go to a funeral or a celebration of life, and someone's giving a eulogy or talking about whoever we're celebrating, and you may not even know them, but if they get choked up in their talking, we all of a sudden can feel that overwhelming, just it feels like it's coming over us as well too. That's oxytocin that gets produced in us that causes us to just really connect with other people. And a lot of the ways it shows up is tears pouring out of our eyes when we really get overwhelmed with it.
Right.
And it just it that takes the edge off. And that is part of how we're hardwired as humans too, right? So part of our evolution is this focus on the negative, which can serve us when it's life or death. Um, that really still has a big impact on us today. But the other piece that sometimes we forget about is that we were made to be in community with each other. And this
Hmm.
whole thing of oxytocin connects us together. And we produce oxytocin when we're grateful, when we see kind acts, when we participate in it or witness it, either of those two. So that really, and the person didn't say that in particular, that
Sure.
right, but that's the type of edge softening that I see, and just being open and vulnerable, which is really a strength.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole point of why I'm doing this, to be honest, is because I think that people need to hear that, the open and vulnerable piece, and that it's okay to get choked up. It's okay to, these things are all fine. And these facades and masks that we put on, they're not serving. I mean, at certain points, you can't walk around crying all the time. At some point, you have to, you know what I mean. But at the same time, it's like that. A man would have to be like this, and a woman is like this, and this person, and like a child is. It's like it's really a lot more fluid, and I think it's more helpful if we give that opportunity. And what the word I use is grace to people. Give that grace to yourself to let, like, it's okay. It's okay. And like
It-
the leadership does, you can lead from any position vulnerably in a beautiful way. And yourself is this is all mostly for individuals to connect with themselves. I think this is what I like to do this for.
Beautiful.
So
You're
you said, sorry, go ahead.
you're uniquely gifted and equipped to do it. You are you are the person. So yeah,
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, thanks, Steve. It means a lot coming from you. Really, really does. So, so taking the edge off has been some helpful things for people that you've done, that you've heard from people that are in leadership roles. And what other things have you heard from people that like that they're benefiting from this after 18 years?
I remember I was at the gym once, and this guy comes up to me, and he kind of beelines across the gym, and he says, "You're the guy that does that gratitude thing, aren't you?" And I kind of recognized him, but I didn't. And I said, "Yeah, why?" He said, "I was in one of your sessions a couple of years ago." And I remember after it thinking, this guy's really positive. I remember you gave us a journal. Yeah, I do remember that. And I said, "Yeah, you're really positive, but I don't know. This really isn't for me." But I kept that journal you gave me. And then he said, about, I don't know, probably about a year ago, my life just had this little turn, and I was not in a good place. And I remembered your session, and I remembered the journal. So I got it out and I started using it. And he said, what's your name again? I said, Steve. He didn't even remember my name, right? Um, Steve, my life is totally different now. It works. What you were talking about. And this is an individual contributor that worked in a company that I did some work for. And it's just a powerful way to reset. And I think for a lot of folks, it is so simple. It's so simple. We
Yeah.
go, yeah, there's got to be something. It's simple. You know what? There's beauty in simple. Simple does not also mean easy.
Yeah.
right? Because when life happens, it is way easier to forget about our gratitude practice. And in fact, that is the number one barrier to building and maintaining a gratitude practice is forgetfulness.
Well, it was really funny because, when we first started talking all those years ago, my buddy called me the other day when I posted a video about gratitude, 2 weeks ago, I think, and then that's why I'm interviewing you now, and the phone rang, and this guy is so funny. He has got the most unique sense of humor. He calls me up, he goes, "Oh, you're a pretty slow learner." And I was like, "What?" That's all he said. Not hello, and I said, "What?" He goes, 8 years? 8 years to become grateful for 1 day?" And, I was like, "Yeah, that's what happened." And, so for me, when we first started talking, I didn't know there was like, I wanted to be grateful. Like, that's why I was talking to you. Like, I got in touch with you, like, "Steve, I wanna be grateful." And then we talked, and you're like, "There's 3 different things. There's entitled, ungrateful, and grateful. And you seem like you're a little bit more entitled." And then I was like, I went through it and I was like thinking about it and I was like, whoa, like I just expected everything should come to me without effort. And I was kind of annoyed about the gratitude process because I was like, well, come on, like I'm putting the effort in. I'm writing my little list. And then I moved from being more less entitled to more ungrateful, like just being in a state of like whatever, like not blah, but like, okay, I'm not entitled, but I'm not grateful all the time. And then it took about 8 years of like doing the journaling. And then I had that one day where I felt like I was in like I was like a Jim Carrey character. I was like, "Oh my God, there's water. Oh my God, I have a tea bag. Oh my God, how many people made effort to get this tea bag to my kitchen?" And then I was laughing at myself because I was being like, it was like so over the top, the energy I had that day. It took about 8 years for me to be like, have a day of like what I think people think you'll be like after writing your 3 little things. And I was like, "Oh my God, like, someone made these speakers and someone made this computer," and took me quite a long time, but I really put a lot of effort into the gratitude. I read your gratitudes every day, Monday to Friday. I do the grateful living quote in my email. I have their calendar. I write in the 5-minute journal. So for me, I put a lot of effort into it, but it's helped me. And then I do that because it's helped me so much to be more grateful and less entitled actually is the thing that it really gave me freedom from entitlement. And then, sometimes I'm not grateful, like, whatever, like, if I have to drive over Mount Tom and it's snowstorm, I'm not like, "Oh, I'm so happy there's a snowstorm and there's weather." It's not like that. I'm more aware of things and I'm like, "Okay," and, every video I mention my dad, but I'm so grateful that my relationship I have with my dad and my brothers and my family and my relationships and that I can even have this conversation with you. So, for me, it took a lot of time, but it's been so beneficial and I'm so thankful. So I really want to say thank you to you for taking that time like almost 10 years ago for having that conversation and helping me start a journey of gratitude and that took a little bit longer than I thought, but I've got there and I'm more there now than I was 10 years ago.
Wow, Mark, thanks for sharing that. Um, So for you listening or watching, hopefully it doesn't take you 8 years, but you know what? Whatever it takes, right? And, I think, Mark, along the way, I just saw a lot of, in you know, you were moving that entire time. It wasn't like you went from, I don't know, the ingrateful, entitled to where you are today just as this overnight snap, right? Just it is a process. Interesting thing too, the whole entitlement, ingrateful attitude mindset is really rooted in attachment as well too, right? Thinking I need this or like gratitude helps us detach because in the in its extreme, like what I say, everything to me is a gift. Like
Mhm.
everything. If it's a gift, I don't possess it, right? I don't possess it. And it does not possess me, right? Because when I possess something, usually the reverse happens and it possesses me. Because when we feel entitled, instead of thinking we possess something, whatever that desire or want is, it ends up possessing us. And when we're possessed, I don't think we show up as the best humans that we can be.
Okay, I've never heard you say that. Okay, for starters, let's have a correction on my language. So the word is ingrateful, not ungrateful, just to
Oh,
make
I do have 3 states.
Right.
Ingrateful, entitled.
Right.
Your middle state there,
Yeah.
I would say that is ungrateful. That's
Okay.
the absence of complacency.
Okay.
Entitlement, complacency, or growth, right? Excellence. So ingrateful is the
Sure.
opposite. It's not good enough. Why would they give me this? Or why would ungrateful is just simply absence of gratitude, neither grateful nor ingrateful.
Okay. And then so then we've never discussed this before, and I'd like to get into this a little bit and then see where it goes, and then that will probably be enough. That's enough for today. That's a lot to digest for everybody, I think,
Yeah.
myself included. Is this so? Attachment is huge. I just one of the so I made a video about gratitude, and then someone met, you're talking about letting go and acceptance, and then attachment is such a huge part of the learning that I've done the last 20 plus years.
Yes.
And I don't even think everyone knows how attached they are, myself included. Like, please, I'm not, this isn't like, oh, Mark knows and like none of that. But like, okay, so there's attachment. And usually it's the things we care about, our desires, our closest wants and desires. Like if the postman delivers the mail a day or two late, if somebody that I care about is late to dinner and I've made a huge dinner, like I'm so attached to them arriving and I get so angry and things like that. So what is your spin or your not spin, that's the wrong word. What's your view on attachment and what it does to people? Because we've never talked about this. So
I,
attachment, and then how gratitude can help free you from the attachment, because the attachment causes so much um, pain, trauma, all these things that we don't want in our life.
when I see everything, this interview, as a gift, and when I see it as a gift, when we receive a gift, what do we want to do? We want to say thank you. We want to reciprocate. We want to serve others. And so if I come into something, if I come into this interview attached with a specific outcome or something that I want, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to show up very me focused, not very other focused. And I think, I believe, I know other people know when I show up and I'm me focused and I'm other focused. And for you, when you go somewhere, the people you interact with, they know, we know this about others, whether you're being you focused or other focused. And I think I know when we're detached, when we're less detached, we become other focused. And I think we serve the world better.
That's,
And yeah.
that's incredible. That's amazing, Steve.
Pardon?
That's incredible and amazing. That
I
is a
heard
lot.
it. I just like hearing people
Oh,
say stuff about me. This is my ego, right? I'm
I was like, oh,
attached.
is
I'm
my is my
attached
is my
to
mic
praise.
not working? Hello, hello.
I'm attached to praise.
That's so funny. All right, rapid fire, and then we're done. And I'll thank you for your time. Okay, I'm busy and stressed out.
I
Your answer to that, like this is someone tell. This is what they told me. This is what people told me. So I'm asking them quick. Busy. I'm busy and stressed.
if you know them really well, welcome to the club.
Yeah. And no, but yeah, great. Okay, but
Like I
gratitude.
don't want
Oh,
to
you're
just
okay. I see. Okay,
like
even better. Okay, amazing. No, no,
welcome to the
because
club.
I thought you were going to give a different answer. There's attachment right there. So there you go.
Like, welcome to the club.
Yeah,
When we're busy and
yeah,
when we're stressed out,
yeah,
this is when we need it most. It's
yeah.
and it's we're building what you do today
Mm,
really is going to serve you in years to come. You would love to be able to take a pill right now and fix what we have today,
right.
right? Think of how our healthcare system works. If
Hmm.
you take a pill to fix something that has been habitually wrong in my life the whole time, best thing to do, like what can we do to start working towards our future, your future? So start Making a gratitude list. That's what I'm going to say. But I want to do it in a compassionate way. It's okay. It's going to be difficult. You know, here's your and how can I support you in it? Let's be gratitude buddies for a month.
Amazing. I got a gratitude journal. It's the middle of the day. I've done my gratitude journal in the in the morning. It's the middle of the day. My phone just rang. It's the repair shop. I got a double booked on a call, and I really have to go to the bathroom. And I'm working from home on Zoom. How can I be grateful there? These are what I ask people to ask you. Like, what can I ask Steve? And this is what they told me to ask.
They do.
So I'm asking
Um,
real questions.
like ask. I flip her back because I don't want to tell you what you should be grateful for. When those situations happening, just step back and ask myself, what am I grateful for in this situation? Where is the good? Who
What
are
is
the
good?
people I
Okay.
can count on right now? If I absolutely had to do something, who are the people that I could count on? What am I grateful for about them? Why is it that I can count on them? Why would they want to help me? Right? We can start asking ourselves questions like that. When we get to the questions, like the deeper question, like not just like who is it that can help me, when we ask the question, what would their motivation be for helping me, and we really get a different insight as to those people around us, and it can really drive gratitude.
Amazing. Um,
That's not much of a short snapper. I gotta keep, those aren't short snapper questions. They're
Okay, that's good. That's amazing,
Is
Steve.
that
That's
cool?
enough. That's awesome. I can't. We went to different places today than we've gone before, and I'm really excited that that this will be out really soon for everyone to see. If anybody, I'll interview Steve again. So if you have some questions, like these people had questions, they sent me them, and I wanted to ask Steve. Please send them this way. And Steve, thanks a lot. We have the detachment thing we haven't got to before, and then the other piece at the end. I don't even really know the language you just used, but it was really beautiful about it was finding the good. What is the good? And I think that that's kind of the theme of this. What is the good? Knowing it takes some effort, and then the get into the detachment stage is quite beautiful. So thanks so much for the time and for what you do. You really do help people a
You're
lot.
welcome. Thank you, Mark. Always a pleasure talking with you.
So cool. Oh, and gratitude at work. I'll put the link in the down below, and your book link. If you could
Thanks.
send me the book link, and I'll put that in the link below as well, so everyone can
Appreciate
look
it.
at that. It's good stuff, and they're plugs for a reason because they're really really good. So thanks, Steve.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark.